Hi guys, back with another episode of the Schbanging It podcast. We've been trying to bring you a different perspective, show you what the agency life and marketing in general is all about, while covering some topics that I think are relevant to people our age. Today, we have two creative stalwarts with us here for this episode. Both of them are group creative managers at Schbang. They have sort of been instrumental in some of our most iconic, funny campaigns that you've seen and liked over the few years. One is an out-and-out group group creative manager, and one is a creative banda. I'll leave it up to you all to decide who is who. Just in the interest of time, and you know that it's a creative episode, creatives don't give a fuck about like being punctual or being on time. So we have what is supposed to be one of our group creative managers, Aditya Sobti, and Abhishek Malik, known affectionately as Toto. No one knows why. He has nothing cool about him, but hopefully in this episode we'll find out. So Abhishek and your guest, we've been wanting to get you here for a while. We've been friends for a while.
Can you also address me as Toto during the podcast, please? I don't want to be addressed as
See bro, तू इतना demand मत रख मेरे से. तेरे यहाँ पर लाया है, you should feel happy. Huh? You're getting your 15 minutes of fame. Cool. But Toto, sure.
Yes.
So Toto, you've been with Schbang for about 5 to 7 years. Yeah, we'll see him when he comes here. The second creative person who's supposed to be in our podcast, who's been sort of characterized by this Batman. So both of you all are like responsible for some of the fun, iconic work that's come out of Schbang. Like, I don't use the word iconic because we're still very young, but like the good work that I like to believe that's come out of Schbang, I believe has come from some of your teams. Before I go into like a deep dive, do you want to just tell us a little bit about what your journey has been like, not in Schbang necessarily, but in the creative space, like where you all started, and how you all reached this point of today leading creative teams?
Do you want to start?
Yeah, I had a
no raising hands. Okay, this is not class.
So I actually used to write slogans a lot in my college ka, events वगैरह होता था. वहाँ पे I figured कि I have a flair for writing. I like writing and all of that. So I thought, चलो let's apply. A friend of mine told me, who used to live in Mumbai, that advertising करके चीज़ होती है. I didn't know कि advertising can be explored as a career because Nagpur tier 2, right? So then, of course, I got in touch with this big agency, mainline agency, and then I applied there. And I went there, they gave me a copy test, and I never heard back, of course. The interview was great, they liked my vibe and all of that, but copy test, I never
You had this hair only that time also?
No, shorter hair. So maybe that's the reason. So they didn't respond, and my ego got hurt because, like, tier 2 city, I was my king. College mein sab sun
What's your background? Sorry. What does your father do?
He is into construction and excavation business, so yeah, which is why I went for civil engineering.
I also didn't know. Business wala hai tu?
Malhotra saab ke waris. Wow.
No, not a fancy.
So tier 2 fancy life.
Fancy life, like, you get away with
That's damn interesting that you still chose creative and you must have had to struggle a little bit in Bombay in terms of how you were living. I'm sure you had a, again, misconception as someone who's only lived in Bombay his whole life. I believe that everybody who lives in a tier 2 city and is coming from like a reasonable family background has a much better lifestyle in terms of you have a bigger house, you have like options of things to do, your friends are tight.
Like you're from South Bombay, bro.
I am now. Who bro? Abhi kya karu? That's what it is.
The point is fair, but जो चीज़ आपने life में experience नहीं की होती ना, आप excited होती कि oh wow, चलो explore करेंगे, छोटा शहर, छोटा घर. So I was very excited for it. And when I came, the house was small, it was nice, quaint, old house. But I was enjoying it. Like 1 year I worked in that mainline agency. I was in a very old house, but in the other, it was very, very crowded. That I wasn't used to, and still I'm not used to. But again, getting back to the story, I applied, didn't get in, didn't hear back on the copy test. Ego थोड़ा सा hurt हुआ. So someone told me कि थोड़ा advertising के बारे में research तो कर ले, तूने copy test दे दिया. So I ordered 5-6 books, your Pandemonium, KV Pops, all these fancy books, Ogilvy on advertising. इसके पहले life में मैंने शायद 2 ही books पढ़ी है, वो चेतन भगत की 2 States, ऐसी कोई तो फकौल books, ठीक है? So I read those books and then I figured, अच्छा तभी copy test crack नहीं हो पाया. So like चलो वापस apply करेंगे. Same agency I applied in another team and I got in. Okay. So that was how I started advertising.
But did you start with a creative job only where you said another team?
No. So another team as in creative team only. So my first job was in another team, and when I walked into the office, like oh,
there's a lot of people at Schbang also and otherwise also have had this journey of पहले client servicing गए, figured out what they.
Bro, that is जहाँ पर भी ले रहे हम जाएंगे, job चाहिए और उसके बाद after 1-2 years पूछेंगे can we move? True. That is the situation. That's realistically.
But I'll tell you what, the second team that I got here, it was not because of a copy test. It was a random parody that I wrote on Salman Khan, and the creative director loved it. He was like, "Chal tu likh sakta, I'll get you in my team." So yeah, it's a very embarrassing parody, but I love it till date.
You're still called Lord Bobby.
Yeah.
Why?
I ever since I was in my first agency, I used to love simping over Lord Bobby in every idea of finance. चलो Bobby के साथ में कुछ करते हैं. Everyone is like he's not relevant anymore. And तब उसका कुछ web series वगैरह भी नहीं आया था, तो he was kind of not very active and all of that. So तब से एक obsession था because of his hair, his style, soldier and all of that. So yeah,
That's
I love
right.
that movie.
And then
inspiration is
after that one big agency that you worked at, which we will not name because we don't want to give them any mileage.
Of course.
You came here straight?
No, I came to another mainline agency which was super toxic. My manager, if you're watching it, very bad agency.
Very bad.
Very bad. I lasted there for 7 months and मतलब you know I had the best managers in Lintas, which is why.
अरे क्या नाम है? It's okay, चल तू भी क्या याद रखेगा?
cool है.
In my first mainline agency, it's a very good agency. So giving them mileage is not bad actually.
ठीक है.
So 3 years I worked there because super managers, and when my great manager left, I decided it's time to move on. Learning खत्म हो गया. Then I went to the other agency, which is
super toxic.
Super toxic.
उसको तो mileage नहीं देंगे.
बिल्कुल mileage नहीं देंगे. वो manager अभी मेरे Instagram पे है, but like yeah, I hate her.
When you get this clip, you know who we're talking about, huh?
Of course.
You fucked up.
They of course did, and the HR was also very bad, and which is why when you know Schbang reached out to me, the HR was so sweet, Mavia. She was very nice. She was interacting with me, memes के साथ में. So I was like, bro, this is very cool.
Your vibe.
I was like, this is my vibe. I want to be here and all of that. मतलब पैसा वैसा देख लेंगे, but पैसा भी दे दिया था. I was very happy.
Bro, पैसा भाई don't get it.
देख लेंगे.
Construction and excavation है ना.
मतलब नहीं ऐसा नहीं.
His managers remember appraisal में चलेगा.
Not really.
But okay. So that was your journey to Schbang.
Yes.
And I feel like since you've come into Schbang, you've sort of like fit in quite quickly.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
I feel काफी सिमिलर वाइब वाले लोग हैं. मतलब बहुत सारे एसेंट्रिक लोग हैं. जैसे इसका एक अपना अलग वाइब है. बहुत रंगीन कपड़े पहनता है. हर किसी का एक कुछ ना कुछ. तू बहुत अपफ्रंट है. You are very transparent and very.
Am I?
You are an asshole most of the time, which I absolutely love. So थोड़ा unapologetically Neil types.
Shit.
Unapologetically Neil.
I'll try.
So ऐसे सबका कुछ ना कुछ quirk है, and especially I feel Harshil is a cutie, which is why I feel like one of the major reasons I want to stick around is Harshil.
Creatives, Harshil's a cutie.
He's aware.
And Abhishek, Toto, as you like to be called.
Yes.
Let's hear about your journey. Tell us from like the starting a little bit, like where are you from, what do you do, how you came here.
So starting from the starting, I'm from.
Means like no one cares about 12 and all, bro.
Fuck off. I'm gonna tell what I want to tell.
Yeah, fine.
Starting from the back in the time.
Guys, I'm not actually just mean to him. We're friends. This is our dynamic.
Yeah. Gawde just is a mean asshole. Nothing else. So I kind of grew up in a small town on the borders of Haryana and Punjab called Tohana, where I majorly wrote and studied in Hindi and all of that. And that's what today unconsciously played a part in how I write and what I write and the audience that I talk to in my advertising career today. But cut to college, I was in Delhi, Motilal Nehru DU. I was studying history honors over there and kind of always had a creative bone in me, I feel. Start writing se nahi kiya tha bilkul bhi. First thing that I picked up was photography. Gawde likes to call that weird nude pictures that I take of myself. Those aren't nude images. Those are some conceptual, surreal photography that I used to do back in the day.
You know why they're not nudes, na? The camera abhi tak bani nahi hai that can.
But yeah, I started with that kind of photography. I was in my college photography society, was in my college dramatic society. Then I became the president of the photography society. Did that for 3 years and India में मुझे लगता है सबके साथ ही होता है, एटलीस्ट मिडिल क्लास लोगों के साथ ही होता है. तुम कॉलेज कर लेते हो तब रियलाइज करते हो अच्छा अब जिंदगी में करना क्या है, अब देखते हैं. एंड दैट्स व्हाट हैपेंड विद मी. हिस्ट्री ऑनर्स करने के बाद रियलाइज हुआ कि पूरा टाइम कॉलेज में भी ध्यान क्रिएटिव चीज़ों पे था. And by then I had already kind of found this interested in filmmaking, photography, arts, writing, all of that. And again, like a middle class boy, filmmaking में जाने के लिए नहीं था क्योंकि मेरे पापा का कंस्ट्रक्शन का बिजनेस नहीं था. तो my dad's an LIC agent, so I had to take a decision which was comfortable for me as a job also, but was giving me something which was creatively high also. And that's where I found advertising, which was a great mix of filmmaking, photography, writing, everything that I liked. And तब मुझे पता चला कि एक्चुअल में ऐड बनती कैसे. पीयूष पांडे नाम का कोई इंसान है, which is a very sad thing I feel India में, because currently talking about Piyush Pandey only, one of the biggest ad agencies in the history of the world, Ogilvy, उसका CCO अभी एक इंडियन है. पर हम लोगों को not just us, इंडस्ट्री में भी जो नए लोग आते हैं उन्हें पीयूष पांडे के अलावा बहुत सारे लोग नहीं.
वैसे तो गूगल का सीईओ इंडियन है, फेसबुक का
बहुत सारी कहानियां हैं, वो वाली लोगों को पता है. पर आई फील इट इज वेरी रेलेवेंट फॉर टुडेज young advertisers to know the history of advertising in India, to be able to actually create the work which is still.
But I'll ask you one question as an outsider to the creative field.
Yeah, go ahead.
You said Piyush Pandey, but see the thing is, don't you think that today young advertisers shouldn't go for the holy grail straight? to appreciate a Piyush Pandey's work and to understand the layers and the, like today it might sound very simple, but like all of us having done this for a significant period of time, understand the amount of back work that goes into it. Don't you think that we should try to teach some of our creative people, or is that me saying aim like low?
मुझे नहीं लगता.
Don't shoot for the stars.
I feel like वो reality creative point of view से मुझे तो कभी भी नहीं लगती है होनी चाहिए, क्योंकि when I watch the biggest of the work, ना is when I want to do that work. मैं छोटा देखूंगा, मुझे छोटा ही करना होगा, bro. Okay. When I watch the kind of work which is getting the Cannes or which is doing that,
I'll ask the other side. Like I'm again just being real again from the agency operations business.
Yeah.
You think Khan's ideas, and both of you all individually at different points in your careers have come up to me and been frustrated about this, and this is a genuine question and not just asking it because it's you all. You might think of a Khan's level idea, but when you're at a junior level, sorry to say and put it very crassly, औकात होती नहीं है इतने brand pitch करने की. And even if you are, you're going to be in a room with your senior creative strat, the team lead, your creative manager, the ACD, ECD, CCO, all these people are going to be in the room. So realistically, you're going to come up with these ideas, you're going to think on these big scale and people are going to tell you ki kya. The reality is, bro, copy lick. या मेरे लिए poster बना, या ये कर. So shouldn't we maybe try to make the narrative with young creative people is, bro, you need to grow. You can't come and think of a film which is going to cost 50 crores because yeah, it's easy to.
Not really, bro. Let them. मतलब even I was there as a young creative. I was very naive. चलो packaging बदल देते हैं. मुझे नहीं पता कि इतनी चीजें behind changing a packaging and all. Now when I'm into a rather थोड़ा सा senior role, I understand when a junior creatives come and saying कि हम ना उनको बोल देंगे Instagram post के लिए packaging change करना. Like I've been there. ऐसा नहीं होता. Then you explain them the intricacies. So मेरा भी एक journey रहा है. धीरे-धीरे I understood. There was a time when I realized कि okay, this is why this is.
You have to go through that journey.
But to answer your question, I don't think आइडियाज के लिए कभी भी हमें कैप रखना चाहिए या मारना चाहिए कि भाई इतना ही सोच, क्योंकि एट द एंड ऑफ द डे
frustration आता है ना, then you'll get frustrated as a creative person.
That's a truth.
But you're a left brain, right? Most creative people are left brain, so you'll wear your emotions with your ideas in your sleeve. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I've seen I'm not just talking about you all, but all of maybe the creative people that I have interacted with across my career, if they really passionately believe in an idea, and for whatever reasons I want to poke holes in it. I'm not doing it because I get some sadistic pleasure out of it. It's I want to figure out the best. I'm a lazy guy, right? I want to do minimum rounds of a pitch. They take it damn personally. They get damn hurt by it.
Bro, ये वाली बात सच है, पर एक चीज मैं कहूँगा, ये वाली रियलिटी भी अपने टाइम के साथ ही आती है. आज बहुत सारे ऐसे आइडियाज होंगे जो पिछले 3 साल पहले मैं जिसके पीछे लोगों को बोल रहा था नहीं बे बहन जो बहुत गांड-फाड़ आइडिया ये है वो है. But today, I look back at it and I feel like क्या चुतिया आइडिया था जिसके लिए मैं इतना मर रहा था अभी तक.
नहीं देख, वो एक चीज है, but again कैसा है ना कि नील के साथ when you work, you see he is not like bro this is not working, this is not working, this is not working. वो बोलेगा this is not working because can we do this instead? So I feel feedback और input में बहुत फर्क है. You give inputs, which is why I'm like कमीना मेरा आइडिया खराब कर रहा है, but he's telling me why it's bad. So I feel input is important, feedback is not.
Got it. And y'all, okay, let's change gears a little bit. Let's talk about today the creative role is a little bit romanticized. So I want to talk a little about this madman fever that's gripped, and like we've all had people who have come in and been like, Don Draper's my idol. I love this show. Don't get me wrong. I think it's an amazing show.
Yeah.
There's a big difference now between like what Mad Men was, what advertising was when they were doing, and what we're doing today.
Yeah.
वहाँ पर 2 campaigns in a year on an easily presented, wore a nice suit, had a whiskey with the guy, and it was done. Today, I think a lot of kids are coming into the ad space thinking कि bro, let's go live the Mad Men life.
So, गैंग्स ऑफ वासेपुर देखिए सबने?
Of course.
उसमें एक डायलॉग था रामाधीर का जो बोलता है कि जब तक इस देश में सिनेमा है ना सबका चूतिया बनता रहेगा. एंड दैट्स द रियलिटी ऑफ एटलीस्ट फॉर मी इन एडवर्टाइजिंग टुडे मैडमैन का, क्योंकि भाई वो जो दुनिया दिखाई है ना और जिस दुनिया में हम जी रहे हैं ना वो दोनों बहुत अलग है.
I mean some parts of it are true, right? The junior creative guys, how they're treated in Mad Men. I'm not saying we treat them that
Toto,
badly.
Have you worked in a mainline agency?
Not in a hardcore mainline agency, but I've worked in one of the big ones, and I know what you're referring to, but I still feel they are also dropping that culture already.
What culture are you talking about? Let's talk about the culture. Drinking, smoking, taking vices.
वो सब तो था ही. अरे bro वो भी था. Like in my first agency, there were cabin का ऊपर white part पूरा yellow था because people were smoking whatever they wanted. So the point is they were chill, they were working. अभी यहाँ पे if I have like a team of 8 people working on say 7-8 brands, वहाँ पे there was a team of 20 people जिसमें 10 art director, ऐसे अलग-अलग लोग हैं. 3 brands आराम, like you said, साल में 2 बड़े campaign and just chill. So that is not my vibe right now, but I feel it's important वो भी experience करना ये भी. But
But
there is
now
that
they are
world.
threatened, bro. कब से mainlines have been threatened hardcore to
Bro,
now
we-
live up to the
इधर ही
pace
तो
and
आ
the
रहा है,
speed
bro,
of
तो चलेगा
what
ना,
we are
it's
doing.
okay.
So I don't
But
think
let them live like that. It's like Rahul Gandhi, if you ask me. Modi will never get rid of him because you need to have someone
Gawde,
who's
we
making
don't
a
have to
mistake.
turn this
I'm not
one
going to
into a
politics. I'm not going to
political
politics. I like Rahul
conversation
Gandhi.
at
He's
all,
Han
bro.
Solo. Forget that. But these mainline guys having this entitled attitude today, there are many ways I want to go on this. So I'll just first wrap up this point. Is the mainline guys having this attitude is actually working well for us. But my question was, so you think it's completely, it's not the truth, right? It's a full dramatization. It's not the case.
Not
Different
anymore.
opinions, I
हाँ,
guess.
मेरे लिए नहीं है.
Yeah.
I don't see the, because like I said earlier also, आज का
फट
creative
जाती है, do drinking,
strategist
smoking
ना,
every day,
more
morning,
than that,
evening,
आज
night.
का creative
तू बोल रहा है.
strategist.
I'm learning. I'm 30 plus now. I had a very rough night yesterday. That's why we're shooting this 2 hours late. Sorry, camera crew.
मुंबई लोकल में घूम करके आता है क्रिएटिव स्ट्रेटेजिस्ट आजकल का. वो कौन सा सूट डाल करके साला यहाँ पहुंचेगा और चौड़ों में अपना एक पहले कॉफी का मग बनाएगा और फिर सोचेगा अभी मैं बैठ के कॉपी लिखेगा आराम से. वहाँ आते ही सॉल्यूशंस वाला पीछे बम्बू देगा कि भाई अगली कॉपी निकाल फटाफट.
So that's another thing that I want to talk to you all about. So you all think that the output that you all are doing today as creatives is a lot more, because I'll again play advocate on the other side of it. As a client or as a solutions person, I will say that, okay, boss, that time there was print, there was TV and there was radio. Bus. That's why you all had to think of only those 3 mediums. Now, the mediums are like 50. We sell omni-channel as our approach, right? That we are going to bring the whole shebang.
Yeah.
So, you have to do different content for Amazon, you have to do different content for Twitter, you have to do different content with an influencer. But that's just because the medium has changed. So, I guess today's creative has to churn out more content, right? Like that's just a reality that has to be accepted.
Quantity over quality, yes. But I feel like abhi you and I we pitch together, right? We make decks of 200 slides and all of that. Banta kitna, you also know, I also know. Mainline agency 200 slide का deck बना के नहीं लेके जाते. They go with 40-50 slides and they make 40.
They charge obscene money and just look out the client. So I don't understand. I don't
Plus,
get that.
anyway, I feel like आज के टाइम में with after digital and especially अब थोड़ा थोड़ा जब digital medium लोगों को समझ में आने लगा है, in the recent past जो ऐसा breakout काम दिखा है cred वगैरह का, Ask also Fevicol, social distancing and all of these works have said digital पे कैसा काम चलने वाला है. You have understood that, the tonality and the language of it. So but I feel like today's now more work, like more quantity of work is now content than advertising. Like it's not really, because content is for me the last nail or the last mile part in the advertising. Main advertising work, which we are referring to, mainline also does, which I as a digital advertiser very eager to pull more from mainline teams, which I am doing at Schbang also currently. I think some of the brands that I work on, I am doing the bigger part also. And that's where I feel the actual advertising work lies. When you do the strategy, when you think of इस साल ये ब्रांड बात कैसे करने वाला है, ये कहाँ जाने वाला है. Content is an outcome of thinking that. And today content is on a very high speed. That's what we are asking our younger people to churn out a lot. But does that mean you're doing advertising if you're only doing content? I don't think so.
So you're saying that that's not advertising anymore?
It is advertising, but it's like a थोड़ा सा part of advertising. यार उसके ऊपर बहुत कुछ होता है जो lead करता है वो बनाने के लिए, which today people are losing out on, the younger generation, and which I feel like everyone needs to learn, and that's why I also feel they need to learn the older time ka advertising. They need to go back, they need to read the books.
But let me ask you, coming back to that, so you all both gave examples. So if I had to name some like icons, like you'd say like you're the founding fathers of like Lintas, Piyush Pandey. There's that, what's that guy's name? Prasad,
Prasoon Pandey, Prasoon Joshi, Prasoon Pandey also.
But these guys weren't making content for Facebook. Like today, the function of a creative, as much as it is to come up with a good concept, has to also think of how that concept plays on the platform on which it's putting it. We know, right? Facebook ke long format content chalta hai, Instagram pe real footage chalta hai. So that becomes more of a challenge, right? So then who do you look up to in digital? Who are like the digital stalwarts that are, who you would say people should, whose work you all get inspired by, that you all can maybe give as references? I mean,
Tanmay Bhatt and gang.
Okay.
I mean, we all feel that their work is thoda eccentric. Many people have a different opinion. He might.
He
has a different opinion, but I feel like they do really killer work. Any kind of work that stands out आज के clutter में I feel is good work. और हम लोग बहुत ऐसा थोड़ा detail में जा रहे हैं, advertising क्या है, content क्या है, जिस चीज से माल या service बिके, मेरे हिसाब से वो advertising.
Got it. That's a very interesting point you brought up, which is that money, right? So today creatives, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like as you all have both worked in creative for a while, when you're a creative person, there is this I don't know if it's a misconception, conception, rightly so, you all can tell me, that we don't need to think about the money. Servicing wale hai iske liye, BD wale hai iske liye. We just think of the idea, make it fun. And I've often seen that there are people who will make a demand in terms of growth for themselves without thinking about it कि okay bro पिछले साल मैंने सिर्फ 10 लाख कमाया for the company additional or through मेरे creative idea से और मुझे फिर भी I want 10 lakhs as my increment. So is that a thing or is that a misconception that I have?
This is one question where both of us will agree on this कि पैसा हमारा भी उतना ही responsibility है जितना किसी और का, because at the end of the day like he also said business सामान बेचने का है भाई. जब तक धंधा चलेगा तब तक सब कुछ सही है.
Many creative leaders don't know how much money they're raking in and they're like, we want this much for our team, which I don't feel is the smartest thing to do.
Exactly,
if you have your numbers in place, there is very less chance for सामने वाला to say कि you don't deserve this. Like you can tell कि bro मैं इतना तेरे लिए 4 करोड़ का धंधा लाया, मेरे को 40 लाख
तो दे. I don't think मतलब इसमें मेरा सिर्फ इतना है कि I don't think क्रिएटिव को टेंशन लेनी चाहिए या बैठ करके साला वो भी गोल बना रहा है वीपी की तरह कि भाई कितना है टारगेट फिर मैं उसको मीट करूंगा ये करूंगा, वो करने की उसे जरूरत नहीं है. बट टू नो एंड हैव इट इन द बैक ऑफ देयर हेड, बट एट द सेम टाइम अपने काम में ध्यान रखो कि भाई काम इतना बड़ा करना है जिससे
क्रिएटिव आंसर दिया तूने बेसिकली कि हाँ मुझे ये चाहिए और ये भी चाहिए. दैट्स व्हाट यू जस्ट सेड.
ये भी चाहिए नहीं, वो चाहिए, वो तेरा गोल है, पर तेरे को ये ध्यान में रखना है कि ये गोल तेरा तू किससे अचीव करना चाहता है. बड़ा काम करना है, बहुत सारा कंटेंट करना है, तेरी गेम है वो. तू कौन सा एडवर्टाइजर है, क्रिएटिव, वो तेरे ऊपर है.
देख आसान भाषा में दैट यू एंड आई वर हैविंग अ कन्वर्सेशन. द पॉइंट इज कि क्रिएटिव्स लिव ऑन टू थिंग्स, ब्रेड एंड बटर, मीट. सम ब्रांड्स आर गोना बी योर ब्रेड एंड बटर, सम आर गोना बी योर मीट. तो अगर तेरे को लग रहा है यार ये ब्रांड बहुत बोरिंग है मगर इससे काफी पैसा आ रहा है तो ठीक है ना, उठा ज्यादा ब्रेड एंड बटर एंड इक्वली गेट मोर मीट फॉर द सेम ब्रांड.
I want to come back to that madman thing again. There's another misconception and I like this because you'll have a unique juxtaposition between the two of y'all. And I've discussed this in other podcasts also. The perception when you join the creative spaces that you need to smoke weed, or you need to get high, you need to get drunk, you need to be constantly. Bro, तेरी Gucci sunglasses को कुछ नहीं होगा bro, कुछ नहीं होगा.
Contextualizing this conversation.
I hope Toto's father is not looking at this, but anyway.
Why?
अरे दूसरी के आगे चल.
अच्छा, okay.
So my point is that, and this is a like gospel truth that everybody assumes that, oh dude, I need to smoke a joint to get really creative, or I need to be a little drunk to get like my mojo on.
Yeah.
You are a teetotaler. You don't consume anything. You are a
certain things.
You are a let's just put it like that. So both of y'all are diametric opposites. First main question, do you think that helps? I want to ask you this one because you do it. Do you think it helps you to become more creative? No.
घंटा कुछ भी नहीं है ऐसा. मतलब there's no correlation between the fact that तुम ये कर रहे हो तो तुम्हें उससे ये हो रहा है. It doesn't do things to your brain and your consciousness when you are doing certain things. It does.
क्या बात कर रहा है bro? Don't say all this on camera. No, don't listen to him. He's a bad influence on you. No, sorry, continue.
It does, but does that directly help you in कि भाई मैं आज स्क्रिप्ट लिखने बैठूंगा और उससे पहले मैं कुछ करूंगा और ये स्क्रिप्ट सबसे फाड़ लिखूंगा? ऐसा नहीं होता है bro. That's your experience writing. That's very practiced work यार. You cannot correlate it to something like मैंने, and this is again going back to that thing that Ramadhir Singh said in Gangs of Wasseypur. जब तक इस देश में सिनेमा है ना, दुनिया का बनता रहेगा, and it's a outcome of that only. Stereotypes हैं ये जो set किए गए हैं, मुझे नहीं लगता.
But it happens. Really. Like we're all aware that happens, right? So let me ask you an interesting question on the other side. It happens. All of us have been subjected to it in our formative years. How did you stay away from it?
Bro, मेरे को लगता है कि
like if your creative director came up to you and said, "Hey man, come with me, let's go for a smoke or let's go get a drink."
Yeah, they've said. So the point is, there is an age to get influenced. That is what I feel. You guys can disagree, but when I was in college, my friends were like, "Chalna bro, करेंगे." And my friends were into all of this, weed, ganja, daru, and everyone around me knew. But the fact that they were saying chalna, like अब नहीं करना. मतलब when someone is forcing me to do something, मेरा मन नहीं करता है. For example, Friends is a great show claimed by everyone. They're like, bro, Friends ने देखा, life खराब. अब मन ही नहीं करता देखने का. मतलब मैं नहीं बोल रहा हूँ show बुरा है, but अगर आप push करोगे तो I don't like doing it. I feel when I was in my first agency, I had the same long hair. Once my unit creative director, he took me on the side नीचे चाय पे कि चल bro, like चलेंगे. He's like, देख मेरे को पता है तू young है, तू करता है ना cocaine, करता है ना?
क्या?
Yeah, because I used to be high on energy.
Oh yeah, he's high on energy. He seems like he's on cocaine.
Office, HR keeps calling me every week. So the point is, when I keep running around in the office, keep doing my thing and all, ना, they feel कि कुछ तो छूतिया energy है, मतलब क्या कर रहा है, ऐसे randomly नहीं हो सकता. What's fueling this? So he asked me कि bro, तू अगर cocaine करता है, मैं बड़े भाई जैसे समझा रहा हूँ, मत कर, अभी ये तेरी उम्र है, influence होगी.
इसलिए पूछ रहा था, फिर ठीक है.
Yeah, and I was like, bro, नहीं, I genuinely don't don't do anything, and till that I don't feel like he was convinced कि मैं genuinely कुछ नशा वशा नहीं
यार
करता.
ये वाला तो perception
That's
मेरे साथ भी
stereotype, but
गलत
I'm saying
है.
the other side of it. But you used
मेरे
to look
बाल
like
जब लंबे
bro,
थे-
you तो used to look like a Himachali, bro. All you need was a jhola and you'd be like Kakaji who's coming down from wherever it is. I don't want to take names. But no, I'm not talking about the fact that you're assumed that because you're creative. I'm talking about the other side, peer pressure. Do you feel that happens?
No bro, like in fact I feel तुम मेरे को जितना push करोगे ना, I feel like नहीं
But
अब और
that's
नहीं
you.
करना है.
I'm saying that today, what should another person do? Like, so you're basically both saying that it does not help you.
I haven't experienced it, so I cannot comment कि it helps or not. But I feel कि उसके बिना भी दुकान चल रही है, at least for
सब
me.
चलता है उसके बिना. और काश हमारे पास भी ऐसे दोस्त होते जो फोर्स करते और हम हाँ ना कर पाते उसको.
You were
तुम
saying
बच
you
गए भाई.
You didn't have friends who were forcing you.
नहीं
You
I'm
were that
saying
friend.
वो फोर्स कर रहे थे और हम ना नहीं बोल पाए.
अच्छा, of course.
काश हमारे भी
Okay.
ऐसे दोस्त होते जो मान जाते.
Fair.
Good. Okay, cool. So the customary drug conversation of every podcast taken out of the way. Now let's go on to so there's a problem that I face.
But sorry, before we move on there.
Now clarification for the
Do
family.
people know why this conversation is coming up in every episode?
Yeah, because I'm very much against it for our industry.
Oh,
I'm not saying
yes,
I don't do
Gawde,
it.
that's the
I'm not
reason.
saying I don't do it. I've
Okay,
been very open about
okay.
that fact. But
That's
I don't think
It's
like I've heard a lot of kids talking about that shit and they think it's going to give them some fucking superpower, which
Oh,
it's
this
not.
is-
It's actually
yeah.
going to fuck you up in the long run.
For sure.
Which is why, like, by the way, I have given up vices also. So for
All of us have.
for other things. But anyway,
Yeah.
now when a young creative, like the problem that I face today, at least maybe in my side of digital, is that I don't think as youngsters people are being a little bit sharp about it. Like I know this might seem like a shameless thing for people who keep calling on my number and asking for jobs, but like they don't read, right? My number is today there on the website for sales inbound inquiries. They will just bombard everybody. Like a creative person also will not look at whether it's servicing, whether this person is in account management, whether this person is in reporting.
Yeah.
They will just say, hi, I want to work in creative. How do y'all, like, what would your advice be to some young creative talent? How should they capture attention? Like in today's age, how do you hire someone from your team? There is a river of CVs that must be flowing into both of your inboxes when you all say you want to hire someone. And that I'm sure comes from HR. But if you were to proactively get someone from the outside, what would you expect from them for them to do to catch your attention?
I feel have a colorful CV, black and white documents. I don't see आप कितने भी creative हो. I mean, I'm sorry, but I
हाँ,
pass it on to
सबका
other
अपना
people.
opinion,
If I feel
right.
आप वहाँ ही effort नहीं डाल सकते, then आप यार team में आके क्या extra effort मारोगे? But that is what I feel.
ओके कूल. मेरे को इतने पॉइंटेड ऐसा कुछ नहीं
तू
है
बंदा है,
कि
चलेगा
sheer
bro.
नहीं
तो
है तो
अपनी भाषा में
चलता है.
समझा.
मेरा वो वाला नहीं है. पर
Regional content बना रहे हम.
पर for me when I'm hiring people, there are two things that I like. First one is definitely intention इंसान का. और वो intention ना उनके like he said CV portfolio. Because बहुत सारे लोग आते हैं बोलते हैं यार मेरे को ना काम करना है पर मेरे पास ना मैंने अभी तक कुछ किया नहीं है, कोई एक्सपीरियंस नहीं है, तो बट आई एम वेरी क्रिएटिव. और वो सिर्फ उस लाइन पे ही बोल देते हैं मैं क्रिएटिव हूँ. उसके अलावा ना कई बच्चों की वो वाली चीज के तुम्हारी क्रिएटिविटी कहाँ है वो कभी दिखती नहीं है. एंड देन देयर आर सर्टेन पीपल जो अपना कवर लेटर भी भेजते हैं ना, वो इतना इंटरेस्टिंगली लिखा होता है दैट यू कैन नॉट स्किप अ सिंगल वर्ड. एंड दैट्स व्हाट आई फर्स्ट लुक फॉर, कि अंदर कितना क्रिएटिव जूस भरा पड़ा है कि मैं इधर भी निकालूंगा, मैं उधर भी निकालूंगा, मैं इधर भी निकालूंगा, एफर्ट वाला. And the second thing is, which is one of the biggest things, whenever I've had a bad hiring, I've eventually realized it was maybe not so much on intent, more on the personality type, or more on the, how do I say that, कि आप how willing you are to actually go there and work and do things. वो willingness जो है ना तुम्हारी, because ज़्यादा दिक्कत वहाँ बैरियर ब्रेक करने में. कुछ लोग आते हैं जो यार 9 से 5 वाला काम करते हैं. एंड this is a unfortunate truth about advertising. I'm not saying that we work or we have to work till late nights or Saturday, Sundays, but our work is such जो ना 9 से 5 नहीं होता है. हमारा creatively खास करके तुम काम बंद भी कर दो ना, the insights that you are getting, the stories that you are thinking of, which can be a part of your advertising campaign, are always happening around you. So if you're someone who's looking at it like सुबह 9 से 5 वाला और उसके बाद लैपटॉप के साथ दिमाग भी बंद, वैसे नहीं चल पाएगा. So that those are a couple of things which I look for.
When you're talking about even in that space, right? Okay, so when talking about the creative space in particular, do you feel like a creative person can only be a one type of creative person? Like both of you are typecast in a way. You are given thoda say Atrangi brands, you are given thoda say like Bharat brands. You are, and I also want to talk about regional, but we'll talk about that second. Do you think that a creative is one type of creative?
Nahi bro, if you do that na, then you've restricted yourself. And
But
even
don't you
if
become a specialist in something? Like
you
अगर तू
can,
सिर्फ car brands पे
I'll
काम
tell
करे,
you, I can, but my पहली चीज तो I hire the kind of people जिनके पास वो skill set है that I don't have. If I feel like someone is
Right.
great at copy, I would want to hire them because मेरी team में overall skill set वो आ रहा है, right? But I have to understand the copywriting. I have to understand, like, you know, script writing. For example, if I'm not a great script writer, I'm hiring someone who is great at script writing. I need to understand script writing. But now, how will they look up to me? So I have to be a jack of all trades and master of one kind of person. But I can't, you know, not be in touch with that specific type of skill. आना सब चाहिए, भले expert मत हो उसमें.
See, इसमें currently my creative lead, one of my creative leads, Rishabh Kalyat, is someone who doesn't. We have had this conversation quite a few times. He doesn't want to be associated with one kind of creative work, and quite a lot of us, like Sobti, you said Atrangi, Mera Bharat wale brands और regional वो वाली सारी. So वो है पर like he said, तुम्हें अपनी टीम, क्योंकि CCO जो एक एजेंसी का होता है, सारा काम वो तो नहीं कर रहा, उसकी टोनैलिटी अलग है, उसके अंदर कितने सारे लोग हैं और एजेंसी का कितना किस्म का काम आ रहा है जो डिफरेंट उसको वॉइस दे रहा है. सो फॉर अ CCO टू बी एबल टू हैंडल शिट और जस्ट व्हाई आई एम कॉलिंग CCOs द टॉप मोस्ट पर्सन इन द लैडर, अगर उसको सब कुछ आना जरूरी है, उसकी खुद की स्किल कोई एक हो सकती है, और दैट डजंट मीन यू.
Okay, fair. That's very valid. But I was
Yeah.
not talking more from the skill set point of view. I was talking about the client profile or the industry point of view more so, because I'm trying to say that today you can either
Doesn't
go,
matter after
but
some
you can
time.
go wide or you can go deep, right? Today, no, let me give you an example. You work on a brand like Ashok Leyland. That it's automobiles to some extent. But do you think that you could take the learnings you have on Ashok Leyland and have that same sort of flair for Aston Martin?
Not at all.
So that's what I'm trying to say, right? So then there's a particular kind of brands or a particular industry which a lot of creative people take as a stigma. Like both of you also reacted to it as no, not at all, because you think that I want to be versatile. But I don't see that as a drawback, which I think a lot of creative people also take it as what do you mean you think I'm one dimensional or I can only think of these type of brands? But that's good, no, in a way, like when you become a specialist at one thing, so you're known for that.
I still don't agree with it that much, because मेरी एक चीज में स्किल्स ज्यादा स्ट्रांग होना आई वुड वांट, और मैं उसके साथ एग्री करता हूँ, बट दैट डजंट मीन कि मैं एज एन कॉपीराइटर, एडवर्टाइजर और अ क्रिएटिव पर्सन कैन नॉट वेंचर इनटू डिफरेंट वर्ल्ड्स, एंड इट स्टिल कम्स डाउन टू जस्ट इंडस्ट्री वाले POV से जो तू बोल रहा था, उसके लिए मुझे लगता है मोर देन इंडस्ट्री ना, इट्स अ लॉट मोर अबाउट किस किस्म की ऑडियंस से तुम बात कर सकते हो. अब एज अ इंडिविजुअल पर्सन, दिस वन क्वेश्चन दैट आई आस्क एवरीवन जो मेरी टीम ज्वाइन कर रहा होता है कि अगर आज advertising agency.
So when you say किसके साथ बात कर सकते हो, just dumbing it down a little bit, you're talking about basically what audience persona. Can you talk to moms? Can you talk to young kids? Can you talk to teens? Whatever that is.
Yes.
No, but the problem is you gave a choice, either this or that. Why not both? I feel, for example, right now we're pursuing entertainment marketing. We go deep enough. When we feel we've penetrated enough, understood enough, cracked enough, then we move on to another sector. Chalo, you know, let's get into wellness. And वहाँ पे we go deep enough, then we move on to another category.
But you think that you have the frame, the bandwidth to like to understand a sector is not a simple task, right?
Of course not.
So do you think to actually be that common euphemism is there, na? Either be a master of all and jack of none.
Yeah.
Or I messed that up damn badly, but whatever.
Jack of all trades, master of
none is the word that the
master of none is the
thing that you say,
real
the
one,
phrase.
Yeah, it's the adage.
Yeah.
Nice. Remember, word of the day calendar. So you can't, na, when you're trying to do so many things, you're never going to be able to go deep, right?
ब्रो टेल मी वन थिंग, क्यों डीप जाना है? आज की डेट में सब ऐसा डायनेमिक चेंजेस हो रहा है. कल को शायद एडवर्टाइजिंग इररिलेवेंट हो, डिजिटल पे सब हो रहा है. तू और मैं शायद कल नाच रहे हो रील पे. यू नो, द दुनिया माइट फेस अस टू डू दैट बिकॉज़ दैट विल बी ट्रेंडिंग. सो लाइक
मेरा
एकदम
थोड़ा
डीप
सा
जाके
वेरिड ओपिनियन है,
हो सकता है दैट इज व्हाई हम दोनों हैं शायद यहाँ पे. बट मेरा ये मानना है कि ब्रो यू हैव टू अडैप्ट टू चेंज. अगर लग रहा है कि आज एंटरटेनमेंट इज गोइंग डाउन, ठीक है, चल मैं लाइफ बॉय साबुन बेचूंगा.
जैसा तूने अभी बोला कि तुझे उस इंडस्ट्री के बारे में आइडिया नहीं है, पर तुझे एक बार डीप जाने के बाद ना एक चीज का आइडिया आ जाएगा. दैट्स हाउ एडवर्टाइजिंग वर्क्स. तेरे को अगर वो पता है ना, तो उसके नीचे के कोई भी परम्यूटेशन कॉम्बिनेशन लगा करके चीजें हिलाता रहे. वंस यू नो द रूल्स ऑफ समथिंग, लाइक दैट्स व्हाई आई वाज अगेन सेइंग कि पीछे वाली चीजें जानना और एडवर्टाइजिंग जानना और कंटेंट जानने में बहुत फर्क है, और वो जानना बहुत जरूरी है, क्योंकि एक बार पता चल गए ना सारे.
It's a very rare perspective, yeah, that you all are saying. I don't know if this represents the masses. I'll give you an example. There are people who work in our company itself who maybe have a specialty in beauty brands, and if I go to them with a cement brand, they'll just be like, no.
Yeah.
Like that hesitation is there. So the question is that you want to say that you're versatile. And at the same time, there are certain categories that you just say no to because you perceive them to be drab or boring, and they might be. But so
tell me one thing, what's good for business? You are the one who gets the brands.
Yeah.
We work on them. Now
the boring, drab ones, honestly, unfortunately, are the ones which are amazing for business because
Exactly.
they have so much work to be done on the regular, and because they don't need to advertise some atrangi idea because they're already there. They've already reached that point where har ghar kuch kehta hai types, you know, like that's their vibe. So I mean, that's my thing about creative. So okay, get it. So that you all think that typecasting a creative into okay, he can only or she can only do this or they can only do this. See, I learn fast. Or they can only do this is fuck all. You should be able to let them do multiple things across the board.
As a business guy, see, I am also like, you know, I love entertainment. You bring me entertainment briefs and all, but you also bring me other bike briefs and all of that. I am happy to pick all of them up. Abhi hum log ek sabun ke brand pe work kare, right? We're killing on that brand. So I feel as a business guy, you prefer me, like, you know, kuch agar odd brand bhi lana to iske paas aunga.
Mileage,
मतलब, of course, versus other team who say कि हम तो सिर्फ Maybelline बेचेंगे तो. Example.
यहाँ पे shots fire मत कर.
It's okay, bro. क्या shots fire? Anyway, then let's talk about the. We do a rapid fire at the end also in terms of just like creativity and.
Do we have a hamper?
Yeah.
Okay.
क्या देगा? क्या देगा?
Hamper पड़ा है. It's out of camera range. It doesn't work for you. It might not work.
अरे यार आगे बढ़ भाई.
Okay, what would you say like today has been one of the best like digital campaigns that's been done like in the last 1 year that you all think is like stand out just for people to know what's good?
Zomato, I liked it.
This new one that's coming out right now?
No, the one is Ma Wala, the beta version, that's different. Even I watched it last night, I really like that also.
The Neville one.
The one where, how is it? No, bhai bolne to de. The one where it's like, do you pronounce it as Zomato or Zomato? That campaign I absolutely love.
जिसमें वो हर चीजें टूट रही हैं इधर-उधर जा रहे हैं.
And you know, it's not just the big campaign. What they did around it with the same content.
That other people's ads and made them their ads.
Exactly.
Interesting.
And all the cred ads, of course. But I feel like cred started, you know, आप wacky कर सकते हो.
Bro, business creds कितने how amazing the ads are to the business.
I feel they're an ad company to be very honest. Credit card वगैरह तो ठीक है, but like yeah, cred campaigns and Zomato. Zomato.
I mean, these only जो ऐसी हमें सामने से दिख रही हैं, cred है, Zomato है.
Yeah.
And Dunzo also did some interesting work recently. Even Lenskart also. See a lot of.
Schbang के brands बोल bro.
बाद में आते हैं उस पे. Some of the campaigns that he also named and we are naming उसने ना बड़ा सारे ये American culture which Tanmay Bhatt and these people have brought in of absurd advertising.
Yeah.
One reason I'm loving it, I cannot say कि ये वाली ad मुझे सबसे सही लगी थी और ऐसी बनानी है. But one overall thing that I'm loving about this is that advertising ना again has started believing in the fact that हम दुनिया नहीं बदल रहे हैं.
Correct.
हमें अच्छी ad बनानी है, हमें fun करना है, which is the best thing because हम दुनिया नहीं बदल रहे हैं, हम कुछ नहीं उखाड़ने वाले हैं, हमें सिर्फ सामान बेचना है. Let's stick to that and make fun ads. Which today I'm really looking forward to that. As a creative person, बड़े टाइम तक मैं भी driven था कि ऐसे आइडिया सोचूंगा कि मैं जो करीबी हट जाए, ये हो जाए, वो हो जाए. But honestly, a brand's not advertising to do that.
बंदा ही है.
तो वो वाली reality मेरे लिए भी आई, but हाँ, fun work is what I'm really looking forward to today.
There are two more areas that I want to cover in this podcast. I think then we've covered it all.
Yeah.
One is I want to talk about plagiarism because again, there's that saying, right? There's nothing new under the sun. Everything is an inspiration from something else. It's very rare to have an original thought. And like, so how do you all both individually make sure that when you're coming up or you're thinking of an idea, because you always tend to find something that's similar to it, right?
Yeah.
So what is that like line that you draw that, okay, this is a copy, isko I'm just adapting, or this is, I've taken inspiration from and made something else? How do you distinguish the two?
पहले मैं. Okay, cool. So मेरे लिए certain form of, मैं अपने एग्जाम्पल से बताता हूँ. जैसे MP tourism की जो ads हुआ करती थी ना, MP में दिल हुआ बच्चे सा, and all of those that were there, वो पहाड़ देखो, आंखें फाड़ देखो, ताड़
पूरा regionally है bro.
Yeah.
हाँ.
So वो वाला जो सारा दुनिया थी ना, वो मुझे बहुत पसंद थी शुरू से, and I'm still quite interested in that. And I have personally done sand art, I have done stop motion, I have done a Kathputli dance and all of these kind of advertising. I've tried to use those tools. But does that say that I am trying to completely do what MP tourism was doing or what those art forms were like? Not really. It's the sensibilities, it's the world and it's the vibe that work creates which is relevant and which I feel I also want to be associated with as a individual more than an advertiser also or a brand also. वो मुझे पसंद आता है, वो वाली दुनिया, वो वाला काम मैं अपने लिए करना चाहता हूँ, उस किस्म की चीजें. So उसकी वजह से मैं I have written stuff जो कभी कभार, जैसे एक बार मैं एक लिख रहा था और मैंने उसी टाइम पे सुना था वो MP का वो आंखें ताड़ ताड़ देखो पाड़ देखो, और मैंने जब लिखना शुरू किया तो उसका पूरा मीटर, when I ended writing it, I was like fuck man, जो पूरा मीटर वो है जो उसका था. And that's when I realized okay, मैंने unconsciously लिखते लिखते पूरा वैसा लिख दिया, but then I kind of broke the thought of chain that was going on in my mind, redid it again, but I knew where I was coming from and had the conscious decision of भाई अभी तू
how you differentiate it.
Yeah.
Okay.
जैसे भाई ने बोला ना कि सबकॉन्शियसली वो जो था कॉपी हो गया था, द पॉइंट इज ना, तू जहाँ से आया यू आर अ बाय प्रोडक्ट ऑफ द प्लेस यू बीन टू, जहाँ तू रेज हुआ है. इसका कुछ अलग बैकग्राउंड है, मेरा कुछ अलग बैकग्राउंड है. वी आर आवर एक्सपीरियंसेस, हम उसी से कुछ ना कुछ बना देते हैं, राइट? और जो मेरा एक्सपीरियंस है वो इतने बिलियंस लोगों में सिर्फ मेरा नहीं है, मेरे जैसे और लाखों लोग, राइट? सो देयर इज अ वे आई एम यू नो सबकॉन्शियसली इंस्पायर्ड बाय समथिंग, आई पुट इट इनटू माय राइटिंग एंड देन आई रियलाइज कि अरे यार ये तो थोड़ा सिमिलर हो गया.
Just taking from this one, about experiences specifically, advertising में I feel like सबसे ज़्यादा जो important है ना for you to make different work or any kind of creative person today to make unique work, जैसा you said कि बहुत सारी जगह है, बहुत कुछ हो चुका है, what's gonna make it different is your experience only. Like Adi, our NCD, Aditya Sobti does a session called Art of Noticing, which I also agree in a lot because advertising, जो पहले वाले लोग भी बोलते थे, again going back to past times and all of that, अगर अपने केबिन में बैठ के और अपने कमरे में बैठ के एडवर्टाइजिंग करोगे ना तो कुछ नहीं करने वाले हो, मतलब उसमें से कुछ नहीं निकलेगा. योर एक्सपीरियंसेस आर गोना मेक योर आइडियाज डिफरेंट एंड यूनिक to other people's ideas.
So to complete that, if you want to make sure your idea is foolproof, पहले तो 100% foolproof करने का कोई मेथड नहीं है. I ask people who are different than me. जैसे मैं तेरे को पूछूंगा, I ask Toto, I ask से अंशुमन की, मतलब bro, tell me what you feel about this idea. If they tell me कि यार ये आइडिया कहीं सुना है, कहीं देखा है, कोई तो पकड़ेगा. अगर 10 different type के लोगों ने नहीं पकड़ा, जिनको मैं sounding board की तरह यूज कर रहा हूँ, then I feel I am partially safe कि this idea has not been done before. But that's the best I can do. हो सकता है ब्रांड के पेज से हमने डाल दिया, वहाँ लाखों लोग हैं, उसमें किसी ने एक ने बोल दिया कि भाई तो 6 साल पहले डंजो ने बनाया था. What can I do about that?
Last question I have for you guys in terms of today in a country like India. So like yeah, we might ape the West, we might want to copy America. We get marketing grows in America.
Yeah.
That's accepted. But what we found is that now regional languages, we're going more specific to our own culture. India as a whole is becoming a little bit more Atmanirbhar Bharat, for lack of a better euphemism to explain it. But people are becoming more regional, right? Like today, content written in Tamil, Telugu is better than English or Hindi. Yeah. You can't do a one size fits all anymore. So, how important do you think the role is, and what like are you doing when you all think of an idea? Do you think okay, iski TG, is that the approach? Because I know like now creative has become a lot more methodical. That you all think okay, this is my TG, this is my task, this is where I have to sell, this is my product, and then uske hisab se background. Is regional a big factor?
For me, especially the kind of brands that I handle, 100% big factor. And I have a example on this one outside advertising. पर it's media only. अभी recently RRR release हुई, ऑस्कर में गई, and it did so well. पर अगर तुम इंडिया में देखो तो शायद लोग उस लेवल पे सेलिब्रेट नहीं करा जिस लेवल पे एवरीडे और पीपल लाइक अस जो अपने आप को मानते हैं कि हमने बाहर का बड़ा कंटेंट कंज्यूम किया हुआ, हमें पता है ग्रेट वर्क क्या होता है, अगर उनसे बात करोगे तो लोग RRR को शायद उस सेम क्वांटम टेरेंटिनो या इन
क्वांटम टेरेंटिनो नहीं, मैं
क्विंटन टेरेंटिनो, सॉरी क्विंटन टेरेंटिनो.
I love it, you make it funny.
Fuck off. I'll just say Tarantino. उस पे ही रहूंगा मैं, उस पे ठीक है. Tarantino जैसी फिल्में हमने देखी हुई हैं, हमें पता है अच्छा सिनेमा क्या है, पर हम लोग शायद RRR को उस लेंस से नहीं देख रहे हैं. But if you look at it, stories from India today are far more relevant to the world outside also. And this was the same game when brands like HUL came into India. Once they got Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore, Kolkata, they asked their advertising agencies and marketing agencies to go deeper into India. They also realized India is not like other countries, एक India पूरा India है. साला हर 10 किलोमीटर के बाद अलग India है यहाँ पे. तो उसकी वजह से anyway it's far more important. One more example I'll tell you and then I'll close my answer on this one. Stage OTT एक pitch थी जो इस पे आया था, Shark Tank पे आया था, if you must have seen.
Yeah.
उन लोगों ने एक ऐसे किस्म का बिजनेस अभी वो लोग कर रहे हैं. They are doing regionalized or they are doing dialect-led cinema, original content dialect-led. Movies, Bihari mein, Bhojpuri mein, your Haryanvi mein, alag-alag dialects that are in India, and they are going bottom to top.
Okay.
Opposite of what Prime and Netflix are doing. They are going top to bottom. They are first trying to capture us and then go down. But if you look at it, India ka percentage ke hisab se agar dekhoge, bottom is a huge number. Like much bigger number. So in India specifically, I feel like regionalize is far more relevant and that's the way to go. And that's also be the way for India to go outside. RRR being an example, one of the platforms that I loved a lot, now it's not here anymore, TikTok, was a big example of that. Whites and Asians and everyone was copying each trend that was coming out of India back in the days. But today, unfortunately, TikTok's not here.
Thank you, Modi ji.
There's Moj and Share Chat India.
Yes.
Exactly.
So
Make in
exactly.
India, bro.
Yes.
Make in India. But anyway.
See, I feel iske brands mein it makes sense, to go region wise. For me, it's internet audience and they're not divided into regions. They're divided into dank consumers, normie consumers. So, kaisa type of content they consume. If I send you a dark joke, probably you'll report me to HR. But there is someone who enjoys those dark jokes, right? I know. He would it. Arey, for an example, ye to is like me only. But the point is, internet is divided into not into regions, I feel, but into the type of content you consume. Kitna dark humor, kitna simple. RVCJ is a page, very normie content they post. Some people love it, and sabse zyada following unka hi hai, right? So there is an audience for that. Also depends on what campaign I'm doing, what kind of audience I want to target. So yeah.
I'm not going to rapid fire because it sounds a little Karan Johar to me. I'm just going to ask you all some questions that I have in mind from a creative
Which is a rapid fire.
But they would. I'm going to ask one question. Both of you all can answer it because it'll have.
Which is a rapid fire, bro.
Not at the same time. There's no hamper. I'm not dressed and sitting like this, nah, bro. There's a difference. So
do we have to raise hands or not?
No. You all each get a chance to answer it. I want to know your point of view.
Can we? Karan, we coffee with Karan में करते हैं ना? They press a
Buzzer.
button to buzzer क्या होगा? आप खुद सोच लो.
Bro, this is for youngsters out there. Here, press Batman.
No, tap Batman.
कहाँ पे?
कहाँ पे? साले तू proper दिल्ली का ही बंदा है, bro. कहाँ पे?
Cool.
No, I like Delhi folks. They'll kill you. What is more important to you? To get paid an amazing salary every month. Now, don't be like, how does an answer it immediately? Listen to the next one. Or to do amazing work, which win every campaign you do for that year wins an award and is like celebrated across. What would you?
देख अगर दोनों में से option होगा ना.
Option है, एक होगा दूसरा नहीं.
हाँ, अगर option होगा ना, तो मैं great work लूँगा क्योंकि उसके साथ पैसा अपने आप आ जाएगा. पैसे के साथ great work शायद.
No, it's not mutually exclusive. It's either तू सिर्फ satisfying काम करेगा और तेरे को पैसे नहीं मिलेंगे.
तो
अगर तू ऐसा बोल रहा है कि लाइफ में दोनों में से एक ही चीज मिलेगा, एडवर्टाइजिंग से सिर्फ पैसा लेकर के खुश हो.
तो एडवर्टाइज में आया पैसे के लिए.
Same पैसा.
Would you rather have a boss who you hate and who doesn't contribute to your life at all in any way, but gives you the freedom to do whatever you want, or have a boss that you love but meddles in your work and keeps giving you maybe sometimes positive but maybe sometimes negative feedback but always micromanages?
See, again, this depends. आप जब कोई जगह join करते हो ना, no. So for life, I'll tell you. Right now, I'm at the stage where I want to learn more. कई बार आप learn more वाले उसमें तो कई बार आप होते हो कि मेरे को अब implement करना है. 3 साल मेन लाइन में मैं learn करके आया था, उसके बाद मुझे implement करना था. So if I want to learn, I'll take that manager who is meddling with my work, but treating. But the point is, it varies. You cannot have a one answer. Right now, I would want the manager who is meddling with my work, teaching me new things and परेशान कर रहा है but नया सिखा रहा है. So that one.
इंटरनेट पे ना again एक और quote इस्तेमाल करूँगा मैं.
Gangs of Wasseypur से?
नहीं, ये वाला Gangs of Wasseypur से नहीं है. Which says people don't quit companies, people quit bosses.
Yes.
Which I really hardcore believe in. तो मेरे हिसाब से तो ब्रो बॉस इम्पोर्टेंट होना, अच्छा होना बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट.
कौन सा चुनेगा वो तो बता दे जो काम में.
बस यही बोल के छोड़ दिया मैंने, अब मैं आगे का नहीं बोल रहा ब्रो.
रहने दे. I think that's it, guys. I'm not going to ask any more questions.
Done.
But this was a very fun, I think, interesting podcast with some sensational, clippable moments.
Same.
If there's anything that you all don't like, I will be posting Abhishek Malik's mobile number and address in the comment section.
It's Toto.